tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise
Accountability
together.
starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Hey Diane. Hey Kevin.
Hey, morning.
Hey.
Listen, I want to start by saying you showed up.
Who, me or Kevin?
Yeah, both of you. So do you care about being marginalized and name called and all that kind of stuff, Diane?
No, that gives me energy. It gives me life.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, that's not bothering me. I've been called names all my life. I'm like, God bless them. You want me to start calling? Look, here's the problem, though. Here's the problem.
Uh-oh.
You start calling me names, don't get mad when I take my barrel around.
Hey Kev, but isn't that something? They want to call you names, but as soon as you call them a name, they get caught in their feelings. They get all sensitive. They start whining and crying, right?
Well, let me just say this to you.
I know, Diane, you adjusting your camera. I'm adjusting my seat.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my prime right. Look, because I was looking at my face in the picture, and I said, "Ooh, I did slim down just a little." I said,
"Oh, Lord Jesus,
the workout is helping."
That's right. It is something. You look great. But you know what, Eric? I have a saying. You know what my saying is? It's real simple. And I want everybody to hear this at the end of my voice. When you go low, I'm going to go below the curb one. I'm letting you know. So don't expect no decency. Don't expect me to be nice and cordial. I got grown kids. I got grown grandkids. My family is involved. You go low, I'm going right underneath that curb, so you will never do it again. Because I know the society I live in. Do you know the society you live in? See, you throw a brick, I'm going to get my golf club right over here, and I'm going to handle you. Because people don't understand graciousness and all of that stuff anymore. They just hound dogs.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'm going to go right after your gut. And you know, once I start, y'all always have to come over here and stop me. You know, Diane called me Kevin, get off the computer. I said, nope, they went low, so I'm going below that curve. I'm telling you.
Well, listen, you know that that's happened already, right? That, you know, people have come into our threads. People used to call the show. We had the prank caller that called for a while. You know, we just deal with it. We just handle them.
And everybody's fair game. So don't tell me I can't talk about everybody. If you got a cat, it's fair. Because you know what? We don't live in a civil society anymore.
No. But you know what, Kevin?
There's no such thing as me disagreeing with you anymore.
But you know the other thing that I think that we have demonstrated to people who watch the show, to the Informed class, exactly how to kick them off the island. Yes. So if there was ever a question about how to do it,
that's how you do it.
This is how you do it. This is exactly how you do it. Suffer no fools. So
I remember when we used to have so much decorum. I would agree with you. You would disagree with me. We would go out and have breakfast. But it's not even partisan anymore. It's just that nobody wants to get caught in a lie. Everybody wants to spin. You know, they will spin you into your death. They don't even have enough character, or they don't even have enough value to understand that you should not spin. Right? You should, if you're going to stand for something, understand your position. But now these guys, you'll see somebody come and hit you over the head and say, well, he actually didn't hit you over the head. He actually broke your kneecap. No, he hit me over my head. And that's the problem. We can't cross aisles. Me and Diane, we don't agree. But that's my sister. We share the same values. We don't agree on this one little issue, but we might find common ground in the middle of
that's
all.
That's right.
Now they take it personal. So what they say is, because see, the ignorant class, and this is the word I hate more than anything in the 21st century. He's a hater. No, you're just ignorant.
Yeah.
You're just ignorant. We need to call you what you are. You cannot represent Kevin D. Jenkins because you're ignorant.
Right.
So if I say you gave something away, I know that you gave it away.
Here's part of it.
But you know what I'm saying? If you're creating a financial arbitrage which is based on a lie, I know that you're doing.
But here's the issue as I see it, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. There is now a war for ownership over government, right? So we've been conditioned to believe that those who are in power own government, and they just kind of run it and do what they want to do. But the drumbeat that has been occurring for, I'd say, Kevin, probably about 8 years now.
Yeah, I'll say 8 years.
About 8 years, right, has been this desire or need or determination, however you want to phrase it, for the everyday person to stand up, lace up their bootstraps and get in the fight and take a government back that they now realize doesn't belong to them right now, or is not operating in their best interest.
I think we're right there. I think that the valve is getting ready to break. Anytime you have, and I've been thinking about this. Anytime you have an elected official tell you what they think is best for you, without trying to understand what your values are, who you are, what you believe in. They are going to tell you what's best for you when you put them there to work with you. You didn't put them there to lie. You didn't put them there to steal. You didn't put them there to enrich themselves. You put them there to help you to better your quality of life, to help your children grow in a great community, to help you be able to trust something in your life. Now, people that are elected, let me tell you how insidious it is. People are elected, don't have to listen to you.
Right.
They don't even think about you when they make a decision. It is driven. This is the worst now. Remember this, guys. We grew up in this business. Special interest literally controls every aspect of government worse than it's ever been in our lifetime.
Right.
So, Kevin, so go back to...
That is the disconnect.
Diane, I'm sorry.
The disconnect is people forget that the elected officials are their voices. They shouldn't be being told by the elected officials which direction to go. It should be the people telling the elected officials, you go down there and you vote for this. You go down there and you do this.
Right. But Kevin, let's go back to what you said. The elected official is installed by way of an election into a particular seat in government to do what again?
To serve. To help people with their quality of life.
Okay.
To help them to figure out the things that they need to survive as a community or a group of people.
So now I want to ask you a question, because I want to take this slowly for people now. And I know folks say this is circular, right? But we got to continue to have the conversation. So now if they are put there to do that, but we recognize that 99% of Americans are suffering, that millions upon millions are without health care or they have inadequate health care, when we recognize the racial wealth gap, the income gap, the education gap, we recognize all these things. And then at the bottom of that 99%, you've got 13%, that 13% which represents foundational Black Americans, we could all conclude as reasonable people that is not working.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, we're just talking, right, people? So now, let's not get caught in your feelings. Even if it's somebody...
Oh, stop. Say that again. Don't get caught in your what?
In your feelings.
Okay.
Right? So don't get caught in your feelings. It's not working. And so now what we have to do is we have to look at who's there supposedly to make it work and what they're not doing, right? And so that's where we are. We're unpacking it every day. And so on the other end, though, you have deflection, you have distractions, you have lies, you have cover-ups, you have collusion, because they don't want to take ownership. They want to sit in those seats. They want to have mayor or governor or senator or whatever blazoned across their door.
That title.
The title. But they don't want to take any ownership over your condition. And they've run out of excuses in terms of who to blame.
Well, anytime you have...
You understand what I'm saying, Diane? They have no... Who do you blame now? It's all you. You got it all. You have all the titles. You've got the chairman. You've got the county chairman, the state chairman. You've got the national chairman. You got it all. And 99% of people are suffering. 13% of that 99% that's way at the bottom are the foundational Black Americans who we fight for every day.
Well,
Who do we blame if we don't blame you now?
Eric, you make a very good point, and we always make this point, and I want us to continue to keep making this point. The point is real simple, and I'm seeing it every day now. Okay, so you, me, and Diane, we agree on this segment. We agree with this segment of society that says that we need to have a revolution, that government's not working for us. We say that we don't have a government. And every day we get up, as you just said, and we show the world that something is wrong, something smells in Denmark. But now, I don't know if this is fake news.
I thought that was 18th Avenue. But okay, I thought that was 18th Avenue that it smelled. Yeah. He's like,
Eric, I love it. Eric,
yeah.
So now, I don't know if this is fake news, but you have to help me with this. And I think I ended the show with this yesterday. I was in a pretty good mood afterwards because I know, the whole world is just saying, what the hell is going on? There were a group of people that were legislators at the state that disagreed with the vaccine legislation, and they disagreed. This is going to be 5 seconds. And they disagreed with the amendment that created a segregated environment, right? Have and have-nots. Today, I open up my feed, and it says, now this, I got to get clarity on this, so don't hold me to this, but I read it. It said that Steve Sweeney said that the African Americans are going to be basically responsible for children dying.
Yes.
Because they didn't agree with his position, that they supported. Listen what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm saying the sickness is. There's a sickness here. There's something insidious going on here. Now, I said I don't know if it's, you got to be careful what comes across your feed. But if he said that out of his mouth, if he said that, we got a huge problem.
Right. Well, Kevin, no. We don't. We've always had the problem. See, this isn't anything new. So the slave master on the plantation, when the cotton wasn't picked, blamed the slave. Wright said, my condition is the way that it is because you're not doing your job. And your job is to be, what, Kevin? The commodity to what? To my wealth and my power. And so now Steve Sweeney says, what? He says, you all need to get on board with what works for me, not for you. Not about you. It's never been, but we got to understand, look, we talk about this governor. We talk about the fact that we don't have a government. We say the governor, what? Came into our community and said, we need 94% of your black votes to win. Right? And we've seen that he's delivered nothing back. Nothing in return. And what I'll say is a lot of the things that you look at, these signings and stuff, and we talked about them earlier, Kevin, is all subterfuge. Because what I would ask you is tell me how transformatively your life has changed. Now, there are some people in New Jersey whose lives have transformatively changed because of policies that the governor is pushing and supporting. But those aren't your lives. Your situation hasn't changed. You still can't afford daycare. You still can't afford to keep your lights on without taking some money from a grocery bill or pay for your medication because you sacrificed, paying your gas bill or something had to happen. So your life hasn't transformatively changed. See, let's be clear about that. So you look at these little things and you say, well, he signed this thing, he did this thing. That's all deflection, distraction. It's all, like I keep saying to you, you are currently on hospice. And all those things are nothing but prescriptions to your symptom, not to your disease. Your disease is not being focused on. And that's that you are, as a foundational black American, at the very bottom of that 99% that they talk about nationally that is suffering in this country. Facts.
Now, here's something I find that's going to be interesting, right? Now, if this is true, this is a statement that he made. If this is what he's standing on, I want to know what are the black Americans that are elected at the Senate and Assembly going to say about this?
Really?
No, I know.
Really?
Well,
Diane?
they're not going to say much.
Kevin, I'm going to reach through this screen and grab you, Kevin.
I'm being cynical, Eric.
Okay.
Don't beat up for me. But just think about that. That's saying that we're actually responsible, like you said, for being enslaved.
Right. So you
That's
ready?
like, the whole argument of Darwinism.
Listen.
Are you kidding me?
So politics is a team sport, right? So if you watched the basketball game last night, the guys who had on the purple jerseys are scoring points for the purple team.
Right.
Right? So all of those guys that you just mentioned, Kevin, let's be clear about what team they're on. They're not on the people's team.
No.
They're not. If they were on the people's team, you wouldn't be suffering at a rate of 99%. And if the black electors were on your team, that 13% of foundational black Americans that are at the bottom of that 99% wouldn't be suffering. Well, let me rephrase that, because it's not 13% of black Americans. Foundational black Americans represent 13% of. I'm sorry, Diane?
I said, I'm looking at an article that says that Sweeney said he will pass this bill, and that he's waging war on any of his opponents for not getting it passed, and he's starting to punish any people that listen to their constituents and had a constitutional conscience, and he's starting to pull people from their committees.
Well, you know what?
And blocking their funding for their people.
Isn't this the same Democratic Party? Well, we're talking about New Jersey, but at the larger level, we talk about national politics, right? AOC over in the Bronx said what? See, I'm not giving my money to organizations that support crap like this.
Right. So, hold that thought. So, he has since removed the state Senate Joseph Lgado, from the Democrat from Paramus, from the Senate Judiciary Committee over his refusal to support the Senate leadership on legislation to end the religious exemptions for childhood vaccinations. So, he's removed him. In his place, he put in Brian Stack from Union City on the committee.
A yes man.
Lagana, he says, also lost his seats on the Health and Human Services, and Senior Citizens Committee, and instead will serve as the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. So he pulls them from some of the most important ones and stuck them somewhere that's not less important, least important.
Now, in my household, when I used to do stuff and, do crazy stuff when I was a kid, my father used to say this to me: "You have lost perspective." My father used to say it across the table, "Kevin, you have lost perspective."
Get your mind
that said a lot to me.
Yeah, get your mind right.
Really, right, you know what I mean? Get your mind right. Now, Lgado's constituents, which probably are Democrats, every black person in the state of New Jersey, probably which are Democrats, he's saying to you, if that is what he's saying, what you just said, he's saying to you, I'm more powerful than you. I'm going to wage war on you.
Right.
I'm going to destroy you. Now, that's why people are saying it's time to kick everybody off the island.
Right.
But Diane, but Kevin,
using their powers.
But Kevin and Diane, but let us be clear, right? What's the guy's name who he kicked off?
He kicked off Joseph Lgado.
Okay.
He's a Democrat representative,
Right.
Senate, a representative from Paramus.
But Joseph Lgado, right, was sucking on the teat of this same party, right? He was living large off this same party and the tactics of this party. And so the sword cuts both ways. And so now he is on the crappy end of that stick. And so I don't know whether he's speaking out about it, but Kev and Diane, like we've talked about on many shows before, he doesn't have a constituency. The people who elected him, if he's tied with the party, that's the party's constituency. You see, and so all Sweeney is saying is this: we put on loan to you because we put you on the line, right? So we put on loan to you our constituency. How dare you go against what we're telling you to do? Because we own you. We put you on the line. See, let us.
My question to you is: what is the relationship between Sweeney and Governor Phil Murphy?
What do you mean?
It's not a good one.
In that respect, it's not.
Okay, so, and the reason why I say that is because this same, so what Sweeney did is when he put Senator Brian Stack from Union City on the Judiciary Committee, the Senate President Phil Murphy had him dropped from the Hudson County Democratic Party last year. So I'm trying to, when they were involved in the legislative redistricting.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, like, is he pulling one of his people over to spite him for getting rid of this guy because he needs a yes man to get this bill passed?
I don't know.
It may be a combination of both.
All of that back and forth. There's one thing for certain, one thing for sure: that they don't work for people.
Yeah,
they don't work for people.
They
don't work for people. One thing for certain, one thing for sure: they don't work for people. They work for special interests. We are the commodity to their wealth. And I am very proud of those people. Listen, sometimes in certain situations in your life, you find courage. And wherever that person is, whoever that senator was, today he found courage. Today, that one day, now he suffered for it. He might have been with him all that time. But that 1 minute he said no, because these people said, I want you to listen to me. And this whole thing about science, I actually respect science, right? But I also know there's always several variations of science. Sure. Who works for who doesn't work for who. That's why what you said, Eric, about everybody getting to the table, right? As opposed to one group saying, oh, we have science. We have something that supersedes what you're saying. That's maximum sophisticated confusion.
Right.
So listen,
we're smarter than that. Now, I'm not the smartest.
That was your 5 seconds, Kevin.
No, it ain't 5 seconds.
But yeah, you always have in a trial, you have experts on both sides. Right? And they get paid. They're paid experts, right? So they'll come in and they'll say what you want to say, and then they'll flip to the other side because they're making money too. So what we need are independent people. Like I like that PhD from MIT that was down in Trenton the other day. Who said he's not with any and the other piece is this, Diane and Kevin. We have to look and see who these folks are tethered to, what organizations, what companies they're tethered to, where their income comes from, because that's the motivation. So when this guy says that he is a PhD from MIT and that he's not tethered to any special interest groups, then I'm more inclined to listen to him. right? Because there's nobody in his ear pressuring to take away a check or, or threaten him by demoting him or doing something else to him. He's speaking as an independent, liberated person. So those are the folks that, I guess those are the characteristics we should be looking for in people who are sitting around the table.
I think he does represent a special interest. It's called people.
Well,
he drove all the way up here from Massachusetts to stand up there and give a deep explanation of how we should be organizing in this country or in this place around this issue. Or if not even this issue, probably many other issues that connect. How could an elected official, this is what this is, you said it earlier, Diane, you said it, this is now moved beyond vaccinations.
Right.
This is moved beyond that.
Right.
This is way beyond that.
Racial divide. This is racial divide.
This is beyond, and you know what? Because of arrogance and hubris, they don't want to see it because it's what we say.
Have you ever noticed that everything always boils back down to the racial divide? The have and the have-nots.
Mm-hmm. Actually, he blamed black people in America. Black legislators. He said, you are going to be responsible for the deaths of people. He called black people, he said black people are going to be the deaths of people in the state of New Jersey. I mean, that is like at a whole... Now, okay, guys, y'all ready? You settle down now? You ready? Where's the NAACP on that? Where's the anti-black... Whoa.
Who that is?
Where's the anti-black call for his resignation?
Wait, where's Al Charlatan? Where's Al Charlatan?
He just said that black legislators that we put down there, I don't like half of them. He said, you're going to be responsible for people dying in the state of New Jersey. Black people. Now, where is the NAACP? Where is the Black Caucus? Where is everybody saying that was racist? That was, you need to apologize. You need to roll that back. You need to do a mea culpa. Where is that? Now, you know what? Think about it. Where is it, Diane? Where is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Silent.
Now, inform class, your legislators call their offices. Where's Donald Payne on this? Where is 2% Booker on this? Where's all of these people on this?
Right.
Yeah.
They went after an 83-year-old woman last week. They went after a man that gave his life to the NAACP in Montclair last week. I dare say that statement is anti-black. I say that's anti-people, and that's anti-democracy. Where is the NAACP on that one?
So what else is going on, guys?
Ooh, I don't know. Where you want to go? Did you see the article I sent you about the famous comedian Richard Pryor? They're doing a series show on him tonight. It comes on about his life. He was really an intriguing person. He was married 7 times to 5 different women. 2 women that he married twice.
Richard Pryor is a genius. He's one of the greatest men of our time. He was flawed now. He was gay. He had some issues. But as far as his craft is concerned, he was the best. There was nobody better than him. And you know what? He came behind Red Fox. He came behind all of the great ones. Yeah. And I got to tell you, he lived a very troubled life, but he also lived a brilliant life.
Yeah. Well, his life kind of started off crazy, so.
Well, he lived in a brothel. Shucks.
Right.
He got up every morning and saw people having sex. What do you think?
Yeah.
He got up every morning.
Yeah, it'll impact you, man. It'll impact you. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
What time does it come on, Diane?
It comes on ABC tonight at, I believe, 9 o'clock.
Wow, ABC. Wow. Okay.
I believe it's ABC. Yeah, ABC is called The Last Days of Richard Pryor.
Wait. You can't do... Wait a minute.
I'm sorry, not 9 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. Comes on tonight. It's a 2-hour program. And they're going to have, I guess it's part documentary series. They're going to have some of the former ex-wives and girlfriends and friends who throughout his lifetime.
Wow.
I don't think that you could do it justice by having it on ABC. I think it needs to be on a cable network because, You know
what, Eric? That's why I said ABC. They're going to water it down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that would have been something that would have been fantastic on Netflix.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
So what they say is the show is going to touch upon the familiar stuff with Pryor and his fans, including him growing up in a brothel, his rise to fame through the groundbreaking stand-up act, drugs, his demons that plagued his personal life. The numerous comedians that will be reflected in it will be Howard Mandel, Tim Reed, Mike Epps, Tim Allen, to testify on Pryor's game-changing influence in using comedy as their social commentary.
Well, 2 hours tonight? Maybe
Well,
I will.
So maybe they'll do something more later on a Netflix or something like that.
I think Eric is right. This should have been a great Netflix.
Yeah, it should have been Netflix.
Several documentaries on him now.
Yeah, but Richard Pryor, I remember standing around the record player listening to Richard Pryor with my friends, man. We used to have a ball.
And I remember sneaking out to the car because we had an 8-track in the car and had and Richard Pryor on 8-track. And he used to sit in the car, man. He used to, start the car up or, turn the key and listen to it, man. And then my dad, because, they were his, they weren't mine. I would have to, and this is the funny thing about 8-tracks, right? You couldn't rewind them. You had to listen all the way through. And so I would listen to it, and then I knew my father knew where he finished listening. So I'd have to listen all the way through till I got back to that point. So it had to be a commitment, man. It wasn't like I could listen and rewind back. So those are my, outside of, me experiencing all the dirty jokes and everything, and then being able to go to school and tell those dirty jokes, that was my experience.
Do you remember any of those good ones?
No, oh God, they're too dirty to talk about. I mean, as a matter of fact, you know what, Don? You're going to make me go
you
back.
know what? Right now, you just took my brain to a whole nother place.
Oh, Lord. You went into a deep one real quick, didn't you?
Yeah,
Diane,
I did.
What's going on? Diane, what's going on with Oprah Winfrey? Can't she just go away?
So, no, she's not going to ever go away.
Because we're not kicking her off the island, that's why.
Well, she ain't on our island anymore.
Oh, she got her own island?
She got her own
with
island.
avocado trees, remember?
All fruit trees.
I mean, she's got to go away.
So what has happened since the revolution of this Me Too movement, and they're now coming after Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons wrote this very long letter to Oprah that was leaked, of course, to the media, and he talked about how he respected her and he thought that she respected him, how they worked together on other projects, how he would come to her house. He did her Sunday show and all of these things, and how he wanted to thought that she still respected him as a man, as to not to get behind this. Now, since then, she has come out and stated that she would not no longer be, she stepped aside and said she would no longer be the executor of this release of this documentary, and that she was stepping aside. However, she still supported the women, but she no longer wanted to be involved with it. So eventually she said, she released a statement saying there's more work to be done on the film to illuminate the full scope of what the victims endured. She assured people that despite her leaving, she still supports the victims. I want it to be known that I unequivocally believe and support the women. However, she's stepping back from this. And she's not even speaking publicly about it. She just released that statement. Gayle King is actually coming out to try and talk people down to believe that she no longer wants to be involved with this documentary.
Well, you know what?
Just say,
Good for the larger informed class for pushing back, right?
Yeah.
Because understand, Oprah and Gayle thought that they were elevating themselves within the framework of the corporation of white supremacy, that they were going to be the ones, the go-to people to do these dirty documentaries on black folks and tear them down, right? So, what Oprah got Michael and Gayle got R. Kelly, and so now Oprah got an opportunity to go after Russell Simmons. And again, I'm not saying whether or not Russell Simmons did it or not, right? We've had these conversations about somebody comes forward, and if they're brave enough to speak their truth and their pain, that we ought to give some credence to that. The question for me is, why is Oprah and why is Gayle, why are they in the front of the class raising their hand saying, ooh, pick me to do that. Ooh, pick me to do that.
But Eric, you make a very good point. But so if this goes to court, see, this is how dangerous this is. If this goes to trial, right? If he has to go to trial, the jury pool has been tainted already because Oprah put a name on it. If Oprah said he's guilty, he's guilty. But here's the deal. Anybody that has had sex with underage girls, they said Jay-Z did it, they say a bunch of them did it. We should not be respecting them. I'm sorry. I don't care if Jay-Z got the AZ, and I don't care if, he's now, Russell Simmons is down in the mindfulness. They knew that those girls were underage. If we find out that anybody has had sex with underage girls, they need to leave where they are, because more of this is going to come out. Politically, if you're having sex with underage girls, if you're having sex with underage girls as teachers, they are predators. If you take a little girl and have sex with them, you are a predator. But what Oprah has done is innocent until proven guilty. However that works, I don't know. It doesn't work well for us that much. But guess what? She has now tainted the process. That's irresponsible on her part. Listen, there's a lot of men, there's a lot of women that I know that there's a lot of terrible things that have went on in their organizations, in their schools, and in city hall and government, and have kept quiet. I remember, if you notice, Diane, when we were working on that bill, that legislation to protect women in politics in the workplace, you never heard one thing from black legislators with female legislators in the state of New Jersey. So they were condoning the behavior. We can't let them off the hook either. So if you have sex with underkids, you gotta go.
So ever since the rape accusations came to light, Simmons has vehemently denied any assaults. When Oprah was initially attached to the documentary, Simmons said he sent an Instagram statement saying, "Your doc is focused on 3 hand-chosen women. I have refused to get in the mud with any accusers, but let's acknowledge what I have shared. I have taken and passed 9 3-hour lie detector tests taken for my daughters, and these stories have been passed on by CNN, NBC, BuzzFeed, New York Post, New York Magazine, and others. Now that you have reviewed the facts, and you should have learned what I know, that these stories are unusable and that people hurt people."
No, the answer to the question is real simple to me. All of that is maximum sophisticated confusion.
So Gayle King stated that Oprah didn't leave the project because she was muzzled in any way. She thought that the documentary needed needed to breathe a little more, and she thought that it was important to put in context for the times, because these allegations are in many years ago, and now we're in 2020. But to put it in context of the times of what were going on at that particular time. So the documentary is set to make its preview at the Sundance Film Festival on January the 23rd.
Look. So here's who I am. So Oprah Winfrey, it should be much simpler than that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Much simpler than that. Look, I'm not saying whether the man is innocent or guilty, or if you decide that you want to give credence to the fact that these women came forward, right? But I'm stepping away from this because, and then state why, right? So you can say that you are a foundational Black American and you won't be a part of this. You won't allow yourself to be used, right? However, justice should be served. But I understand my profile. I understand how people view me. And I understand how this system works, and I won't allow myself to be used. That's all she needs to say.
This is a dirty little secret in the Black community.
The Black community?
No. I'm talking. See, wait a minute. Let's stay focused. I'm only talking about Black people right now. Okay. Here's the deal. We know, and I know families that have had members in their family rape and assault young men and women for years. And the reason why they were not brought to jail in handcuffs and locked up forever is because they say that's Uncle John, that's Uncle Bill, that's Aunt Sally. The bottom line is this. It doesn't matter when it happened or didn't happen. The real question for me is this, Russell Simmons. Don't tell me about your lie detector. As soon as you say lie detector test, you're a fraud to me. Did you do it or you didn't do it? The questions that-
Because this is a simple question, Diane. If I ask you, Diane, if I'm missing a piece of jewelry and you were at my house and I said, Diane, did you take the jewelry? Right? And you
Yes
said,
or
well,
no?
I'll take a lie detector. Just answer my question. Yes or no?
Yes or no? Just answer the
No,
question.
Eric, I
All
didn't
that
take it.
psychobabble about not daughters and my name. And, look, all of them were hound dogs back then. They was messing around with the little girls. Now it's coming back to bite them in the butt.
And by the way,
because
Diane, did
Me
you take
Too-
my jewelry?
And listen, I don't condone any of them. And guess what? You got to answer a question. Again, my father used to say, before you go any further in this conversation, Kevin, I'm going to ask you one question. Did you do it or you didn't do it?
So do you think, and there's been a whole big thing in Hollywood about the abuse of children in Hollywood and how they have passed around young people in Hollywood as they have, as you know, calling us sleeping on the couch and stuff like that, that there's a whole big ring of pedophilia going around in Hollywood. Do you think there needs to be some laws put in place in regards to more strenuous responsibilities of the parents and guardians?
Well, the laws are in place already, right?
Stop using children in Hollywood to begin with.
Yeah, the laws are in place already. I mean, you remember Kevin Spacey's incident, right? And I don't know what the final result of that was. I know he was removed from the
I think it was kicked out of court.
Okay. But there are already laws in place, Diane. I think that parents of these children have to care more about their children than they do about the clout chasing, right? They have to care more about their children than they do about the check. I think I told you the story about my oldest daughter when she was younger. I had her signed up with Wilhelmina Agency, and we went to go do. She did a couple of things. She had a couple of billboards and some other stuff that she had done, and it's really, you can easily get sucked into that space because of the amount of money that is possible, right? And we went to this one shoot, and the pressure on these kids, and I'm telling you, I was pushing my daughter in a stroller to get around, so she was that young. The pressure on the kids that were there to perform was enormous. And then the pressure that the parents put on those kids, as opposed to being a barrier, and as opposed to being a comforter and a caregiver for their children, they use their children as props. And so a lot of them turn a blind eye. So I don't care what laws you have in place. If parents are allowed to serve their kids up to predators, if parents are going to serve their kids up to predators, you're gonna get more of the same.
Well, I agree, Eric. I agree.
So going back to what you said with Kevin Spacey, his accuser died, and he ended up settling with the estate.
Okay, well, you know what? He's a sexual predator. Okay, anybody that's a sexual predator, anybody that has these little girls following them all around the country because their parents are not monitoring them, or little boys, and they have sex with them, they need to go to prison.
Right.
Period.
Done.
I don't care. Done. Did you do it? Yes or no? Don't think the women. Now, you have some women that are predators too. You have some women that lie too. Now, if you are caught lying, if you are caught making it up, you should pay a price. You should go to prison. You should. See, my thing is, it's got to be consequences.
So wait, Kevin, if you're lying, you should go to prison?
If you're lying and destroy somebody else's life, right? And you're making them spend a tremendous amount of money. You're doing damage to their children. You're doing damage to their relationship. Out of here. You got to go.
Oh, okay.
You got to go. See, I believe that. I don't believe you can. Now, listen. That's why we tell people on the show. Oh, you call me a liar? Oh, you certainly want to call me a liar now?
Right, but this gets back to our conversation yesterday where we were talking about what is criminal and what's not criminal, right? So a lie, depending upon what it does, becomes criminal or not, right? So we had this.
Right.
So
and based on this conversation, I'm revisiting my, my comments about Cardi B, even, I know.
Look. What's your new revelation? So please tell me.
Well, I mean, look.
I'd like to hear this.
Well,
Eric, I'm going to throw my computer out the window.
Give it to me, Eric. What you got to say?
No. I think if I'm going to take the line of reasoning that if you're a pedophile, then you need to be, ostracized and moved out of the way. If you are, rapist, you need to be ostracized and moved out of the way. Then I have to conclude, based on that logic, that, given what Cardi B out of her own mouth admitted that she does or did, that she ought not be seeking any sort of political office.
Right. So there's a comment in the feed, and I'm over on YouTube, and
so
they want to
I just want people to know that, I'm malleable. If I get more information,
this did it. This what did it.
And I process it.
Oprah and Russell Simmons did it.
Well, no, because I realized in this conversation, in the dynamics of this conversation, that what I was speaking about over here contradicted what we're talking about, and so I had to reconcile those two.
Oh, well, basically, just made no sense. Okay, so one of the people.
I got my mind right, Diane.
Get your mind right. On YouTube, once has a similar comment, and they're trying to figure out, it's beyond their comprehension how Trump is even in the White House after he was accused over and over again of being a child predator, and he has never denied standing inside the teen pageant dressing rooms, leering at young girls.
And that's why. Guess what though? That's a very good point.
Well, the question though, so is it a crime? And if it was a crime,
it's not a crime.
No, he's saying something different.
Young girls,
Diane, looking at them. No, wait a minute, Diane. What he's saying is, see, this is what I said about overzealous prosecution.
Here we go.
Wait a minute, though.
So here's the nuance. Go ahead, Kevin.
He's right, Diane. Here's women inside that room, right, that are pageant, whatever, and he's glaring at them. Now, is he a pervert? Yes. But did he touch them? See, did he touch them? Now, if he touched them, I had sex with him, I think, to Eric's point, based on that question, I think that he needs to be kicked out. Now, he is a sexual predator without question. He should be the president of a doghouse. But what I'm saying to you is, this whole Me Too movement that I've been tracking for the last couple of years is one-sided. And it's absolutely one-sided. Because the woman that started it was a black woman, right? And then as she continued to keep having this discussion, it became about something else. It became about this gender war between white and black, white women and white men. See, my thing is this. I think if you are, if we find out, because I don't think there's a time limit on it. If we find out that when you had power, you had influence, you were an educator, because sexual harassment and rape was all about power.
Right.
So if we found out, you need to go. There's no explanation.
You're right. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I got daughters and grandsons. You touch my grandson, you're out of here.
I tell you. Well, I was reading another article, and I know you're going to hate this one, Kevin. So do you remember the Fry Festival? You remember them talking about this very exclusive festival that they were doing on this private island, and they were charging anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for people to fly in. You're supposed to have a music festival whole weekend, luxurious stay in these island experience, food, all of that.
Sex on the beach, that's all it is. Sex on the beach. Call it what it is.
All of that. For $5,000 and $10,000 a pop. Well,
so you can go there and be a pervert and dance naked and get high and do everything, be decadent, do whatever you want to do.
So basically it's Woodstock with people with money. So yeah. So so there was a rapper, Ja Rule, who got caught up in this, and the person who was actually the promoter ended up going to jail because he was basically putting on a fake show, a show that never actually happened. People flew into this island. There was no food. The accommodations were horrible to the point that people were sleeping on the beaches. I mean, it was a total crap show. So now Jay-Z, who was able to separate himself from this Fry Festival, and the Fry Festival promoter actually went to jail because of this scam that he was running. And they did a whole big thing on Netflix, if anybody wanted to check out the documentary, as now into taxes. And now he's partnering up with somebody to do your taxes. What are your thoughts on that, Kevin?
You mean Ja Rule, what's his name? Rule?
Oh, Ja Rule.
Ja Rule, I don't, I have no opinion. Listen, you know how I feel about the entertainment class. I want to ask Ja Rule, and I want to ask Jay-Z, did they have sex with underage kids?
So on Tuesday, the Grammy-nominated rapper known as Jeffrey Atkins, tweeted an advertisement to his New Jersey business called Value Tax, saying he is part owner of this venture. It's tax season, and that you can get $100 cash now with your tax prep, $100 cash for referral, and up to $7,500 on same day advance. And he's located, get this, on Clinton Avenue in Newark.
I'm done. Everything, I'm done. I'm done. Everything is up on that Clinton Avenue in South London. I don't know what's happening up there. What's going on, Eric? I mean, anything. You talk about Newark, if you go up there, you might lose your life. So you're going to go get your taxes done too? Are you really kidding me? Seriously? I mean, you got to be kidding. Listen, guys, here's the deal. He has every right to be engaged in business. So I don't, that's not my issue.
So Jaru, who served 2 years in prison for gun possession and tax evasion and was released in 2013, says, see why you hating? I'm putting you up on the game. Y'all going to jail, though. Go up there and get your...
See, he's ignorant. He's ignorant. See why you're hating.
No.
That's our fault.
What's that word?
No,
what's that word you use, Kevin? Hubris.
This is hubris. Hey, Eric.
Yep.
You know why they allowed to do this? Because we didn't say enough.
There we go.
And I think that's what's happening now. I think we're saying just enough. We couldn't get in that space because, first of all, we understand that a lot of people like these guys, but guess what? They have not done the right thing. They're now still playing on this fake celebrity. This fake celebrity class is a danger for us. They're a virus for us. I want to ask the question of Ja Rule, whatever his name. Did you have sex with underage kids?
What the hell does that have to do?
No, I'm serious. You have to understand. Listen, I am going to say, Eric, from now, Eric,
don't even put his name in that.
Why? It's a fake celebrity class. Well, I'm asking the question.
That's the same
So why you? Wait.
Have you been with somebody underage because you've been in politics?
No, absolutely not. See, I can answer that question. No.
Lord.
Yeah, right.
Well, he's not here to answer that question. Don't put his
he's now. If he's out there trying to sell fake tax, he can ask. That's what we do for that, Eric.
Wait. So you're tying whether or not he's a pedophile, which he hasn't been accused of.
I'm only joking. Look, don't get all hot and bothered now. Don't be trying to get all protective of that nut.
You can't.
I said I'm being cynical. Get out of it. Oh, guess what? They didn't care when they was dragging our little young girls and kids up in there with that fake music they was playing. Get out of here.
Drag down my black men, Lonnie Love.
Black men?
Wait a minute now. You got Diane, like she's flipping her hair with you now. So listen, what are the people in the Facebook?
Hey Diane, look.
What are people in the Facebook feed saying? Do they have any comments on it?
I'm only joking, Doc.
What you said, do they have comments? Of course they got comments. You want to hear the
Yeah, let's hear what
they're
saying on Facebook.
Oh God, what did they say? Let me see. Oh God, I can't.
That was fun, Diane. That was fun.
They said, calm down. Ja Rule won't be doing your taxes. Value tax does. Value tax does. I'm just the owner. That's one of the comments. Oh God, he says, here's another comment Ja Rule put out. He said, all y'all thinking I'm going to be stars, better go learn how to diversify your portfolio.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't think tax agency is going to help you on diversifying.
All y'all.
Another comment, another guy said on Twitter, he said, I'll stick with TurboTax.
You know what, guys? Look, at the end of the day, we have a little fun, but these are really interesting things.
Yeah.
The mere fact that he's even a story bothers me. Yeah. With the world going crazy, people fighting for their rights, people trying to save their lives, people trying to feed their families, people trying to educate their children. We got Ja Rule, or whatever his name.
People trying to get that tax money back so they can buy them a car.
Flat screen TV. That's what they spend it on.
I just think it's absolutely disgusting.
So here was some
around talking about, and then look how ignorant he is. Y'all better.
They said he's changing his name to Ja Exemption.
All right. So listen, the breaking news.
I like that, Diane.
Epstein's eyeballs were bloody, which suggests murder. They're getting deeper into this now. They're gonna.
They're doing a documentary on that as well.
Yeah, they're gonna figure this thing. Well, I mean, somebody's gonna talk. I think.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to talk that has been a part of his episodes of being a predator. They did talk about some of the victims came out.
No, I'm talking about the fact that they murdered him.
They talked about how he used one of the young girls down there in Florida, and she would go to the high school and recruit more young girls, and she didn't really understand what she was doing at the time because he would lavish her with jewelry and money, and she was homeless, and she thought that this was her only way to get out of her situation. That he literally preyed on young girls down there, and he wanted a new girl. His thing was he wanted a new look and a new girl all the time. So he said he would call her daily to bring in fresh new meat to him.
So he was a sexual predator and he was a sex trafficker. And
Absolutely.
I hope his eyes
but that's
out of his ass.
Right.
Who cares?
What I care about is the fact that he should have been one of the most protected men or prisoners in jail. And he wasn't, right? Guards fell asleep. They left him alone, and next thing you know, he wound up dead. Then they came right out the box and said, "Oh, he committed suicide." But more evidence is showing that no, he was murdered. And so why I care is he had he been allowed to testify, right, may have been able to uncover a bigger ring of female trafficking.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever going to make it alive anyway. I don't think he was ever going to get out of jail. I don't think he ever was going to make it to trial. And you're right, maybe the Russian mob killed him. Anybody could have killed this guy. He was a part of that men's network that did all of that sexual deviant stuff. And they were not going to allow his
But I want you to
career
understand how think about this, Kevin. How normalized that is, though. That this guy was probably murdered, and you really can hear pin drop around it. Meanwhile, we talk about all the abductions, sex trafficking, all these things that are going on. And here's a guy who is, eyeballs deep in it.
Right.
Right? And so if we're trying to solve it, some of it at least might have been solved there in terms of what's going on.
A lot of this is not going to come out because I'm reading articles that also track him back to the royal family in the UK when they use some of the royal security. So a lot of this stuff they're not going to let uncover as to the reason why he probably got what you would say, what the mafia would have done is sent him a message while he was in there and told him he needs to kill himself.
No, what they normally say when they want you to kill, it is what it is.
That's what it is?
It is what it is. You're not going to
saying all by yourself.
Well, it's very interesting. We've been on this conversation now. We know for the last some odd years we've been talking about all kinds of stuff in our city government. Now, they're having a citywide women's meeting. Now, this is what I'm trying to say to you. You have a citywide women's meeting in City Hall in Newark, New Jersey, with all of the stuff that we know that's been going on with women in government and in City Hall, in particular in the city of Newark. I mean, that's offensive. But those women, to me, see, this is what I was trying to say. Those women, to me, are part of the problem.
So, Kevin, question. How did that of the security in Epstein lead you to the women?
Because we're still talking about women and sex trafficking and what the climate is. I stick with me.
Oh, okay.
Clear your mind.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm calling
it all out.
So there's an article in here, and I don't know if this is the same one you're looking at, Kevin. I mean, Eric, the pathology report states that he was murdered.
Correct.
I think that's what it was trying to lead to.
That's
it wasn't
right.
a suicide. That the autopsy states that he was murdered in his jail cell.
That's right.
That's interesting.
And that he did not hang himself.
That's interesting. Well, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I think all of these things are important that we talk about because if we don't talk about it, it just becomes normal.
So my question is now that the report is going to say that this was a murder, are they going to continue the investigation to find out who murdered him, who put the call in?
Oh, something, yeah. No, they're looking into this. But what I'm saying is it's not front page news, right? And I think it really should be. Maybe not above the fold, but certainly front page news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, what's going to go on with the Sussex, the family of Sussex? Are they in Canada now, or are they in Are they still in England?
They're getting
Oh, I
their
don't know.
$20 million,
They're gonna be moving
right? That's
in
what you
the
said. Wait a minute, what is it? Is it $20 million a month? Is that their
No, it's $20 million a year.
Oh, okay. All
But
right.
listen, I got to tell you something. I'm excited about those two people. I like them.
That's great.
I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, they both are in love. Shouldn't we support love? And shouldn't we support that kind of stuff? And people sticking together. They listen. You got to give them credit. They pushed back against one of the greatest, biggest, powerful institutions in the country. Don't you think that was wonderful?
Well, you know what I did, and
Look, the
I got to
problems they
tell you,
have
I
is
was
not problems,
devastated.
it's problems.
I was devastated when Princess Diana died. Devastated.
Really?
Oh, I
Did you
really
watch the
was.
whole funeral? I watched the whole funeral.
I did,
You
and
watched-
and what's the Sir Elton John?
Yes.
Right? I mean, you know, I cried when he played the piano and sang for her, you know, at the
Yeah.
funeral. I mean,
That-
I really did. And I thought that it was tragic the way she died. And so looking at that, looking at how her children were impacted by that, and now seeing that, you know, he's looking and saying, I don't want that for my wife, and I don't want that for my children. I want something different. I think it took a lot of courage.
But not even that, they haven't really touched upon the marriage of her and Charles and his extramarital affair, and how he didn't even want to marry Diana, but he was forced to marry her because he had to have kids. But he was really in love with the old chick who he's still with now.
Hey, God bless him. I didn't want Diane. I like Diane. She was a fabulous young lady.
She was.
She evolved through the whole experience. But
He was living,
Charles is
a threesome lifestyle.
hey,
That kind of pushed her into her death, because she was trying to get away from all of that.
well, listen. I think that Diana was a fabulous, brilliant woman, and she raised her kids really, really well within that construct. I liked her, and I like this young lady. And they're saying that the reason why she's making these decisions is because the press and the Brits have been very, very hard against her based on her race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's unfortunate. I mean, you know, a civil society, a civilized society. That's
But
how
lucky for her, she has enough money, she doesn't have to endure it. She can go somewhere else and live happily.
Well, listen, we just
I wish
just
all
say
black
that.
people could do that.
Listen, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm quite sure there's a lot of great things that both of them are going to do for, you know, the world, and they're going to contribute to the world. That young man has been doing a lot of stuff on his own before he met her. I'm quite sure as a unit, they'll be doing some great stuff. I just like to watch them, you know, because I like to see young people that are, listen, they took big risks. All of these young people that are out there taking selfies, like, you know, I respect young people that take risks, that are trying to do something to make a difference, trying to change something. All of that other psychobabble stuff, you know, because listen, look, I can tell you who the latest artist is today, and I can go on their Instagram page and like them, and they can shake their booty, and they can do all of that stuff. I'm looking for young people that are going to do something. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of talking about, oh, we don't want to get involved. No, I'm looking at people that take risks. Now, if you got a 60-year-old woman, an 83-year-old woman taking risks, well, we could take risks too.
I agree.
I mean, enough of that.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Everybody wants to be, look, I appreciate everybody wanting, you know, to talk about one isolated situation where something happened. I'm talking about we got to do it together as a team.
We do have to do it as a team. And
you know,
listen,
I'm tired of all that. I'm bored with that. I'm
Hey,
like,
Diane.
get out of here. Don't want to hear it.
Diane, we were talking about this last night, and I don't know if Kevin knows about it. This is kind of off the beaten path, but it's something that I enjoyed, and so I wanted to share with the Informed class. We started getting our, Diane's like, what's he getting ready to say? We started getting our vegetables delivered. Right? Look, Diane's like, yeah, and Diane ordered hers. No, Kevin. It's a company called Misfits. Now, there are a bunch of them out there, so I'm not particularly endorsing any one of them. But what I am endorsing is the idea of supporting the companies that purchase these deformed vegetables and fruits from farmers. And so farmers created a new market, right? So what they used to do was throw all that stuff away. Because it wasn't a perfect carrot, right? So it had an offshoot to it, or it wasn't a perfect potato because it had an extra bud on it. But it made it no less nutritious. But they just threw it away. And in a country where, you know, you have, such wealth, And in other countries where you have such poverty, the idea of throwing food away was just nonsensical. So these companies formed, and they started taking these misfit fruits and vegetables, buying them at lower cost from the farmers, so the farmers were able to make more money, right? And they got it, and now they deliver it and it's true. It's almost like a 40% savings in terms of what you get. And so I was happy to see that my sister Diane went and ordered a box. When's yours coming, Diane?
You actually ordered a box of vegetables for real? You ordered a box of vegetables for real?
Yeah.
Seriously? I got the biggest vegetable store. I got the biggest vegetable store right across the street from me, ShopRite. I'm not ordering a damn deformed carrot.
Marlo?
No.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Diane, how big a box are you getting? How many pounds?
I think it's 24 pounds. That's all right. I'll give you some, Kevin, because I can only eat healthy, but for so long.
But that's a very good how you take advantage of a market or how you build a market. I think that's very clever.
But even beyond that, right? So
and actually, I did some research. They have a location in Pennsauken, New Jersey, and they also have another location in Tribeca, New York.
Right.
Well, remember, Eric, we used to give out food. I think there's a lot of people that give out really, listen, one of the things that we all know, it is very expensive to eat healthy.
Exactly. That's why I'm bringing it up.
And I got your point. It is very expensive to eat healthy. Right. So anytime we can get a reduced cost on some stuff, I'm only making fun. Reduced cost on good vegetables, because look, in some of our cities, they're deserts, they're food deserts, even in the 21st century. So
even in Newark, you got food deserts.
I think it's good that people are able to get things reduced cost. I think that's one of the things I like about Amazon.
On Clinton Avenue, you got a food desert.
And now, you know what? And so to stay on this, because you're 100% correct, Kevin. Eating healthy is difficult because it's costly. So if you can find a way to eat healthy and buy vegetables like this and fruits, and I'm not saying use this particular company, but find some out there where you can get a discount. One of the things that I would love to see work is these co-ops. So like Diane said, and we do it because we get this big box and we can't eat all those fruits and vegetables.
Right.
So my sister, my mother, my grandmother, we're all co-opted in it, right? So when it comes, we divvy it up, we share it out. But to see some greater organization of that, and these would be good things that churches in the community could be involved in, right? So now you find folks who are not eating healthy. You understand they're not eating healthy because it's too expensive to. But so now you figure, how do I find a solution for that? Again, I'm not suggesting that you necessarily use this company, but there are companies out there like that, like this, not only in terms of fruits and vegetables, but other kinds of things. And
other companies, you can go to your local grocery store and set up something like that, because they do what they call manager specials when stuff becomes a little overripe, that you can also work with them to create co-ops in the community.
But isn't it a shame, though? Isn't it a shame, as I'm listening to you guys talk about this, that, in the country of, wealth, we're talking about eating healthy is expensive, that everybody's basing all of their margins on greed. And even when you go to some of these churches and they do serve you food, I think that's doing God's work. I think that's a good thing. And, but it's a shame, because at the end of the day, once that family goes there, they get nothing else in the course of the day. It's just terrible. I don't know how to smile with you. I understand that, on the market side, people are taking advantage and building a business. But the mere fact that people are starving every day and hungry every day, that really bothers me. And just the mere fact that it's expensive to eat healthy, it's just it's an American tragedy.
It is an American tragedy.
Forget about a global tragedy. It's an American tragedy. And I support anybody that gives of themselves and they go collect food for people. That's a hard thing to do every day. That's doing God's work, and I respect that. But it's just a shame. It just gives me a bad feeling when I know that there's some young people at home that are not eating good good food, good vegetables, good salad, or whatever. They're eating all of this white processed food, bread. It's just a real American tragedy. We have to do better.
So one of the things that I love about it, and I don't know if you saw the picture that I posted, but I talked to Diane about the delicata squash, which I never knew what it was called. right? And this is.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody, Kathy Fellows said, here in Newark, you can join the Food Collective. Tobias A. Fox runs it, and she put the website in. That's great.
There we go.
Great. That's
Perfect.
good.
See, that's what
good.
I'm talking about.
That's good. I mean, that's good. No, see, I'm very, forward thinking when it comes to that stuff. We need to, and another thing, Eric, as you move on, we can't grow our food anymore. When I used to go visit my family in the South, they were growing their food. Let me just put it to that. They were growing their food. And that's something that, a lot of our young kids don't have the opportunity to experience. Putting their hands in dirt, like growing something.
So, Kevin, does your wife grow her own herbs?
No.
I do. I grow herbs. I grow tomatoes.
Well, that's good, because if she was growing any of those things, that would be great. But she understands it, but she doesn't do it. I get what you're saying.
Because some communities, like our community in Hillside, we have a community garden where they go fish and various different things. But I've already did it myself, and I do it in potted plants.
Great.
Pots and stuff.
Yeah, I think we should help our kids learn how to eat healthy.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Call it go.
Go ahead, Eric.
Good morning, everybody. It's Farrakhan. I just want to say, I agree with you that people should eat healthy and all of that, but we got to stop saying that it's about money. Because everybody that's choosing an Italian cheeseburger because they say it's cheaper than eating something different, still got a flat screen TV up on their wall, right? They still got Xboxes and $600 sneakers and $200 sneakers on elementary students. So it's our choice. People are choosing this. Our mindset is this.
Well, I'm not talking about those people. So,
because we're always saying how the black, the $2 trillion, spending power that we have. So we can figure out how to have a salad, right? Yeah, it might cost $2 more than the burger, but if we really want a salad, black folks can afford a salad. We're choosing it.
Now, wait a minute.
So I just want to say that.
Right.
Now, go ahead.
Right. So what I want to say to you is this. There is certainly a segment of people that are choosing it. Certainly a segment of people that are vying for flat screen TVs and $300 sneakers and all those kinds of things. But I can tell you that for the year that I went around delivering food to communities, that wasn't the case with those people. That those people were cutting medicine pills in half. They were going through all kinds of things. So I'm not suggesting at all, Farrakhan, that a segment of the community isn't exactly as you described. And shame on them. I'm talking about the other ones who are in real danger.
The true poor. I respect that. There's definitely great. I'm just saying that there's, like you said, there's levels to it. And I think for most of us, right, there is a percentage of us that are so poor that they don't have anything. We know there are those poor. Right. But for the most, right, what we call poverty in America is still luxury in other countries. Like facts, right? Like, we ain't seen poverty. North, now, don't get me wrong, there are people in North that are definitely living in, a very financially difficult life. But North poverty ain't India poverty. It ain't Pakistan poverty. It's not Nigeria poverty. It's not Darfur poverty. Like, we're in a whole different level of it. They don't have shoes.
No, I got you.
You understand? They might be grown before they get their first pair. Some of those kids. So poverty is different depending on where you are. Now, I personally feel poverty is poverty. In other words, if you live in the world's richest country and then you still can't have the best things, then it's no different than if you live in the world's poorest country and just have garbage, except that in their country, their garbage is just 10 times worse. But, poverty is poverty. Right. But, the point is, too much of what we do is on us, or what we don't do. We have to start to think better, to do better in our own lives.
You're right. I don't disagree.
That's right. We have to change our frame of thinking. You're right, Farrakhan.
And it is all a matter of perspective. Because if Warren Buffett woke up with Oprah Winfrey's money, he'd jump out a window.
Exactly, right? You know what I'm saying? I would jump.
He would be broke. Right? If he woke up with Oprah Winfrey's money, he would be broke.
Yeah.
Listen, I jump for joy if I woke up tomorrow with Oprah's money, and I might have a heart attack if I woke up with Warren Buffett's money. Now, let's be clear. If I woke up and looked at my TD bank account and it said Warren Buffett numbers, I don't even know. I'm choking up thinking about it. I know what I'd do if it actually happened.
So that brings me to this question, Farrakhan, before you hang up. I've always wondered, and in my head, I always believe that I'm going to win this Powerball. I don't know why, but I believe that I'm going to win. I don't know when, but I'm going to win. What would you do with that money? What's one of the first things that you would do with that money? Would you give it back to the community? Not all of it. I'm just saying, would you help the community? Would you give it to your religious organization?
I'm gonna help the community to a certain degree, but I wouldn't use the term giving it back because I didn't take it from them.
Right.
So for me, and I hate that when I hear people, they say, successful black, you have to give back. You ain't got to give nothing back unless you took it from them, right? If I didn't take $1 million from the community, I don't got to give it back to them. So I don't think anybody has that type of obligation. There are things I want to see for future generations of black people. And that's why I would help the black community, because my children are going to be black, my grandchildren are going to be black. So I want to make sure that they have certain opportunities as black people in this world, that just in general. So for that, I'm going to go and help and try to build a society for black people that we can be proud of. I don't know if it's really
I got another question for you. I posted this on my Facebook page the other day, and I got a lot of great feedback. If you were the mayor of your city, what would be the first thing that you would do when you were elected? The first thing.
First thing I would do. I'm in North Side.
Okay, so think about that.
First thing it would probably be something in employment for me. I listen. Nothing happens until you got money. You can't have a better education until you got some money. Right. You can't do it. You can't think straight until you when you broke. Try to have a day of peace mentally. It's almost impossible. And if it does happen, it means you've gone insane from it. Because when I'm broke, Farrakhan can't think to do anything. Farrakhan can barely eat when he's broke. Farrakhan can't have sex when he's broke. Farrakhan can't be friendly when he's broke. And that's just being honest. Because I'm going to be like, man, I'm messed up right now. I ain't got time for nothing else. Mm-hmm. So for me, I got to figure out how to get people financially better off. And I think that's got to be, because that's how you're going to protect your society. Like right. They say money doesn't solve everything, but it sure buys some peace.
That's right. Thanks, Farrakhan. Well, Kevin, okay. What would you do if you were the mayor of your city? What's the first thing that you would do?
I'm not going to do anything.
Oh my God! That's why.
You know why?
You're a nut.
Because I know I'm being serious. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything.
If you had the opportunity to,
I'm not going to do anything.
Do nothing.
No, you know why I'm not going to do anything? I'm going to tell you why. Because the people are going to make me do something.
No.
The people are going to make. I'm not doing anything. I'm not answering those kind of questions. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything, Diane. I'm not answering that question. Don't ask me no goddamn question. What are you going to do as a mayor? Ask those people on the feed. Don't ask me that question.
Eric, what would you do?
If I were mayor?
If you were mayor, what's the first thing that you would do as mayor?
That's the prerequisite of being mayor, doing nothing.
Shut up.
Wow. So, you know what, Diane? No, but I'm gonna tell you, it's very so. No. Here,
like, you know, there's so many issues going on.
Right. So the very first. No, I'm gonna tell you. So the very
immediately. That would show some type of resolution. What would you do?
The very first thing that I believe has to be done is there has to be a heuristic audit of everything, right? Because any decision that you make, you don't know the impact it's going to have. You push here, it pulls from there. You pull from here, it pushes from there. So you might think you're actually saving a life when you're jeopardizing 30 lives. And so without a true audit of where everything is and everybody in terms of managing folks who have the competency to be able to do certain kinds of things. So that's what would be required. Now, in the middle of that, things have to continue to function, right? So when you go in, I think one of the worst things to do is to go in. Well, you look at vital things, right? So you look at vital departments, and you start there first, and then you work your way down to the least vital departments, and you try to top grade in those really vital departments, and then you work your way down. But
and that's exactly why I don't answer those damn questions. What are you gonna do if you go, man? Ask a little kid that. Ask a little kid.
But you understand? So my thing is this, Diane. So, and the reason I say that
I
is,
hope your Senate, when you become congressman or senator or whatever you decide to do, that your meetings aren't this long with explanation, because you're killing people.
No, but Diane, you know what though? But here,
I don't need an explanation. Just what would you do? What would be your?
He said it.
No, I said it. But here lies the problem. But here lies the Kevin. But here lies the problem, Diane. We have been so conditioned to get we've been so conditioned to get BS answers.
There you go.
Right? That when you get an actual answer, you go, oh, that's not what I'm looking for. You're looking for another BS answer. So and I'm not saying Diane. I'm talking about.
No question you got. Well, Eric, wait a minute, though. This is what I mean, though. That's why they didn't want to answer the question.
You want to know what I would do?
You just answer in a 5-second clip.
You know what I would do?
I got an answer for you. What do you do if you're in America, Kevin? Keep hope alive. What do you do in America? Steal the money. What do you do in America? Keep the streets clean. What? That's the kind of answer you want? Don't ask them. That's why I wasn't getting sucked. I know you. You trying to drag us in. No. What are you talking about here? It's very different. You know what, Eric? You are right. You had some complex part of the conversation you wanted to have. You have the right to. She asked that question. You have the right to answer the way you want to answer. Everybody's so damn lazy. Wait a minute, though, Diane. Everybody's so damn lazy. They want everything in 15-second clips. Do some damn work.
Because we all got ADHD, we ain't got time.
And that's the problem.
And that's the problem. And there lies the problem now. So now, if you ask me, Diane.
Wait a minute, Eric. Wait 1 minute.
Go ahead.
That's why when you turn on MSNBC, they say the same thing to you 450,000 times in 2-minute clips. So you expect that to be normal. That is not normal.
Repetition is key.
And it's not that. That makes you ill. And that's what happens. So now, we talked about booty last week with the girl Lizzie Dizzy.
Lizzo.
Listen, well, I get an example. If I talked about Lizzie every day, you would have 5,000 people in here talking about that Lizzie Dizzy is. I mean, we got to ratchet up our thinking. We got to ratchet up a little bit. We lazy, no work. We want everything to be glorifyingly brought to us to make us all feel good. We want to take that pill to make us all feel good.
Yeah. Caller, go.
Answer the damn question.
Go, caller.
Yeah, just responding to Diane's thing. This is Che. I'm off work today.
Hey,
Diane. The first thing I would do is go on a tour to make sure that all of the city services are being distributed effectively. So, kind of like that reality show where you saw the CEO go down to the line level, employees level, and like they didn't know it was the CEO. Like the CEO was like wearing like a sanitation outfit, and he would be checking the processes and processes to see if it's effectively going. Eric alluded to a very gold standard, which is there has to be an audit on
an audit on city services, an audit on
how the impact of your idea is going to be. So there has to be like not only an operational audit, but audits of the cause and effect of your vision. And the third thing, and I have to say this, mayors should have a presence in schools, not a presence where they're coming to the school to talk about what not to do, but for a small portion of my life, I lived in a white area. And when we would see the mayor at the school, it was like, well, damn, the mayor is here because school is important. So when you start to have that kind of fabric where it takes the celebrity out of it, you look at your mayor as someone else who's working all the damn time versus you look at other cities across America, we kind of have like this celebrity thing going on.
Exactly.
And that's it. That was all it is. But Eric alluded to a gold standard that is used in corporate America. People have to vet their vision before they implement it.
Exactly.
That's it. Thank you, Diane. An excellent question.
I love that. So Diane, and so here's the other piece of it, right? When you become mayor, right, you have a transition team. And when you look at these mayors, Look at all of them. The ones, that we always talk about on the show. Look at who was part of the transition team. You need to make sure, because if you understand that you are going to, and I love the way that Che put it, you're going to vet your vision. So, do I have a vision? Yes, I have a vision that folks live in a community where Kevin would be able to go around the corner and have a drink at a nice place if he wanted to, or walk to a nice market and get some fresh vegetables and fruits and fish. And I have a vision that people can, so that's my vision. But when I look and I say, well, okay, that doesn't exist, right? I have to audit why. And now when I'm looking at, if I were to be mayor and I say I got to get a transition team, those people have to have the acumen to be able to hit the ground running. And I hate using that term, but it is so true, right? You don't have an opportunity to learn on a job. You had to have done it before. You see, and so part of my transition team, I would look at the city that I am getting ready to manage, right? And I would be looking to pull talent in key areas from other cities that were similar in terms of need, where folks did the work, and I can see the work that they did. Not that you're selling me garbage, but that you actually did the work. And now I'm going to bring you in because I know that if I put you over here, so to Che's point, yeah, you want to send somebody, I wouldn't want to go. I want to know that somebody that I brought in as part of my transition team, who also now becomes part of my cabinet, can go and check out city services. Because I need to be able to delegate, right? If I'm going in, if I'm in that car, because again, when you're at the top level, you have to be able to delegate, and you have to be able to broaden your base of talented support as quickly as you can. And so when you have somebody who hires friends and family, right, or they bring people on transition teams because of political favors repaid, then you already know that nothing's going to get done. So if you ask me what the first thing I would do is, I would guarantee to every voter that voted for me that I would hire people based on qualification and not hire people based on political favors repaid.
And you know what we call that? You know what we call that, Eric? In our business, policy.
There we go. So if you ask me, then I'm drilling down to that. Because without that talent, and commitment for that talent, you're not going to get anything.
You can tell a mayor by the people I think you're absolutely right, but that is policy. I always tell people, you can tell what their policy is or what their relationship to community based on who they hire. That's a policy. Wow. And you know what? At the end of the day, guess what? If you look around right now, and by the way, Jay, I appreciate you, but I don't want a lot of mayors in front of my kids at school.
Thank good our kids were at private school. I don't
want a lot of those guys. I don't want a lot of those guys and gals in front of my kids.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I know I'm being cynical today, but I mean it. Please don't show up at no school my kid goes to. My grandkids.
We didn't have enough coffee, Kevin.
Kevin, Diane.
No, because you know what? Because I've heard, I love that question you asked. I would love to know what the informed class would do if they were mayor. But it's to the point now when you talk to me like that, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, another person says they would do the same thing. They would analyze the budget first, find out where the waste is, and redirect the benefit for the children and the seniors.
But wait a minute, Diane, stop for 1 second. But if, to that person who wrote that, that's fantastic. But so if you see that the person you elected is hiring somebody that doesn't have the qualifications to analyze the budget, then you're already losing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you went and got your friend, right? You got somebody who was committed and knocked on doors, or somebody who terrorized your opponent and tore down their posters. That's the person you have evaluating the budget. So when that happens, then there's not going to be any fundamental change. You have to be committed to go and get the best.
Well, that's what someone else says. The problem is favors are owed to those who funded their campaign.
That's absolutely right.
And you have to be careful who you take money in from. And I think that's also true. That's also true. Everybody feels as though if I helped you, you owe me something. People have to also get out of that mentality that you owe them anything. I owe you nothing but to love you, as the Bible says, right?
And Diane, you know what else is important? And somebody had this conversation with me. I wanted to move on, but I want to stay on this for a second. Somebody had this conversation with me about a year ago. and they said to me, Eric, you criticize other mayors and other electeds for not getting things done, and they asked me the same thing, and we had a much longer conversation about it, about what I would do. And they said, "Oh, I would love to see you there because you would fail." I said, "Well, look, it depends on how you define success, right? So if you have a high crime rate, high murder rate, and you go in and I'm going to sell you a bill of goods and say, you know what, I'm going to zero out crime for you and zero out murders for you, then I'm lying to you, right? The thing that I have to do is I have to manage expectations based again on what? On vetting my vision. I love that, Che, and doing an audit. It is then imperative that I be transparent with my constituents, that I talk to you truthfully about what the situations are. One of the things that we're faced with is that they start off BS and they end up BS, and they BS all the way through because they're never really interested in empowering people with information. They're always interested
the question that I would have loved for you to ask, and maybe we can ask this another day. How do you become a better constituent?
Exactly.
I was going to ask that with all of this stuff.
No, wait. Let me make a point. See, there lies the problem. The problem is all of that stuff that Che and Eric and you have said. I'm trying to figure out. That's the question of today. How do you, not of today, but the question that we're starting to really talk about in this country? How do you become a better constituent? Number one, and do you feel that you have to be a better constituent? Because if you can't answer that question, that means all of the failure that we talk about on this show that's impacting us, right, is going to continue.
Sure.
Don't ask me about when I become mayor. I appreciate that. But how do you become a better constituent? I want the informed class to answer that question.
Right.
And my question with that, on top of that, would be, as becoming a better constituent, what do you do in the first 30, 60, 90 days of a new reign that if things aren't going right, what do you do? What is your recourse? What should you be
Well, wait a
doing?
minute, but I got to ask this question again, right? So when you say things are not going right, we have to determine what right is, right? And right is measured by what is reasonable. So if you believe because I sold you a bill of goods on a mailer that I sent out that I was going to lower your taxes, but it really is unreasonable to believe based on the current situation that your taxes are going to be lowered, then I should have been honest with you in the first place. Say, listen, the people you hired or voted for before left you in a ditch. In order to get out of this ditch, we need to do this. So though you may not like it, it may be the right direction. So we have to be able to define those things.
Constituent, let's drill down on that. The constituent is not good stewards of the democracy that they keep saying that they believe in. The constituent, you can only thrive in these political marketplaces if you as a constituent don't have value in yourself. So all of this failure, all of this corruption, all of this functionality, all of this is on the backs of a constituent. And let me give you an example. If my tax bill came to me 12 times and there was an increase 12 times, and the guy that you put in office tell you, I didn't give you an increase, and you buy that, shame on your ass. See, the question is, what kind of a constituent do you think you are? Do you want to be? And do you even believe that you are responsible? And anybody that's selling you maximum sophisticated confusion and you buy it and it impacts you and and it never changes for you, good for you.
Exactly.
Good for you. You deserve what you get.
And that's how we started the show. We got a caller. Caller, go.
Hey, good morning, guys. First thing to answer all three questions. The first thing I would do if I hit the Powerball is I hire me a good accountant, and then the second thing I do is buy me a politician, which in turn might be a mayor. And the first thing I would do is tell the mayor, our environment is in trouble. I would go in full-hearted on addressing environmental issues and bringing our city into a futuristic mode. The third thing is to be a better constituent and I witness it, and it's happened to me personally. You go to the microphone in City Hall, and man, from that point on, you start catching hell. And you got to be able to shoulder the burden when you go to the microphone in City Hall. And all the people, Donna, I can't remember all the names. They go to that microphone and they leave from there and they catch hell. So to be a better constituent, you got to be able to shoulder the burden of standing up. Yeah, and see, most of the people are bent over. They refuse to stand up. That's why their back is getting rich. You know, they jumping on these people back with all of this, you know, thievery and all of this other stuff.
Right. All of these sideline constituents, Mike, you know what? You make a good point. All of these sideline constituents that see you in the supermarket, see you on the street, things that got to get better. Yeah. You know what I tell them now, Michael? Go sell that to your preacher. Don't tell me about it. If you got trash in front of your house every day and you don't go pick it up, that's your fault. But guess what? If the taxes get raised every day and you can't help your daughter that's got a son in college because they're engaged in malfeasance and they're impacting your quality of life, and you keep talking to me about it without going to do something about it, shame on you. Become a better constituent and things will change. Things will get better. And all of these people that's running around and talking about, well, you know, I can't say nothing because if I say something, you know, something. Oh, man, go and die.
Okay, so before they die, we got some more comments in the feed. So look, Eric, I got people texting me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Michael, you're right, Mike.
Let's listen to some of them. Go ahead, Diane.
I was driving when y'all was hitting on this Sweeney thing, and a lot of black people already died because of these black politicians that's in power and in silence on, again, these environmental issues that are, you know, causing people to be sick and dying and stuff. So I'm agreeing with him to a certain point. Not that he's not being anti-black. I'm being anti-black. They're already being silent on these issues. So, you know, I was driving when y'all was talking about that. I hope I didn't, you know, bring it back up. But, you know, they silent on it. So, you know, they partially a broken clock is right twice a day. And have a good day, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy.
What are the comments, Diane?
So the comments I got from my texts are in response to if I was the mayor, I would write my vision for what should be and then compare that to what is currently. Proceed to look at the resources, human resources as well as technical, industrial, financial, etc., and see what's available. In the feed, we have to become a better constituent, we need to teach civics in school again. Folks don't even know who pays for garbage pickup, roads, potholes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
Shut up,
Christ. No, wait a minute.
No, let her finish. We'll go down. Go ahead.
And then they're also commented, transient towns do not have good constituents because homeowners don't live in the towns where their properties are, and renters don't.
Very good point. Very good point.
And then over here, we got Gaetano wants to know how much does this imaginary Powerball win? And in my mind, my magic number is 916 million because that's my magic
All right, so,
number.
you know, the first thing I want to say is this. Michael Sproul, I think he forgot something when he listed what he would do with his Powerball number, with his Powerball ticket. And so I'm going to text him my phone number because one of those things should be to call Eric Dawson.
Yeah, that's true.
You gotta put that on the list, Mike, man. Gotta put it on the list. So listen, I can't.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, Eric. And Courtney Wicks, she's back. Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Courtney.
Says Kevin, stop using the Lord's name in vain.
Oh,
because you know you don't go to church. That's my part. You just started coming back. Don't get excommunicated again.
Oh, you know what, Diane? Let me just say this to you. I really actually am excited people are engaged in the feed. Yeah. But, you know, to me, in order to be a great mayor, you know, we have to have great constituents. And that's very important to me. When you see all of these negative things we talk about,
I disagree with that. I think you can be a great mayor. I think to be an effective mayor, you need great constituents.
Okay.
To be a great mayor, you just have to have ethics. You have to be ethical. You see what I'm saying? You may not be reelected, right? And you may not accomplish anything because you don't have great constituents. but you could still be a great mayor.
And material responsibility have a realistic vision to transform government and community. Realistic vision. That's necessary. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so, dude, listen, I got to tell you, I haven't watched MSNBC now in maybe 5 weeks. I've immersed myself in Fox News, and my mind is blowing up. But I did it intentionally because I want to understand that side of the country that watches that, right? But I did see a headline, and I got to see on YouTube that Mika and Joe and Al Charlatan, that they finally spoke up for Bernie Sanders. This issue going on between he and Elizabeth Warren, which was manufactured, I believe, planted by CNN, and then exploded on the stage of the debate that Mika Brzezinski, called foul, right? She said that it was, that it was horrible, and you see it all playing out. But I told you that Elizabeth Warren was evil. And so now we're seeing it.
Before the debate.
Huh?
You said it right before the debate, and then it came out. She used that. He said women can't be president. It threw it out there.
That's right. And then not only did they throw it out there, but if you watch the YouTube videos, then when the moderator asked Bernie Sanders if he said it, he said no. And then she went to Elizabeth Warren and said, "So what did you think about it when he said it?" So she essentially said, "I don't care what he said. I believe you."
And her response was a political response of, "He's my friend, and I'm not going to fight back and forth with him," which leads me to believe you're lying now.
But now I want to go further, because I'm going to show you what a scoundrel she is. Then they had her mic live, and trust me, I think she knew her mic was live. And she went over to him, much like a person wearing a wire, right, and said to Bernie Sanders, "You lied on me on you called me a liar on national television." And then Bernie Sanders was about to reply to her, "You called me a liar," but he stopped himself and said, "Let's deal with this later," because I think he realized that she was hot wired and he didn't want another headline. They took that information anyway.
Can you do me a favor, Aaron? Can you do me a favor?
Yep.
Can you get Elizabeth Warren and put canceled so you can put on your case?
Oh, dude, man, come on. Come on. But I want you all, but the reason I'm laying this out is I want you to understand, because Kev, look, this to me at this point has nothing to do with Bernie Sanders. It has to do with the millions and millions of people who are saying we want different. And it has to do with a network like CNN and all these other people who are trying to torpedo a movement of people who are saying we want different.
Well, Eric, but first of all, they're not torpedoing anything. It's
no, they're
growing
not.
Every day. I don't even listen, I'm not a big, I ain't going to stand up and go Bernie Sanders on anybody. I get what you're saying. I actually appreciate the organization that he's building. I appreciate all of those people out there that are actively engaged, trying to be better constituents. I appreciate anybody that stands up for themselves and stands up against tyranny. I support that. And you know what? It's growing every day. The Democratic Party is in a quagmire. Elizabeth Warren did what normal elected officials do, lie and try to stagecraft. They try to put as many press releases out there, gauge a maximum sophisticated confusion. None of it helps us. She needs to be canceled. 2%'s gone. She's going to be gone. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Move on from her. If she was obviously trying to be slick. And, she's running for the President of the United States of America, but she'll be the same one that'll talk about Donald Trump. Right. Same one that say he's slick. Same one that says he's a liar. Mm-hmm. Come on. She's got to go. We can't spend no more time with her. She's unfocused. She's losing her mind. And when I say losing her mind, not because she's a woman. She's just not talking about things that give us anything. She got to go.
She's desperate. She's desperate.
She's got to go off the stage, put canceled on her.
Oh, my God. We got
to get ready for Buttigieg. We got to get rid of him.
Yeah, oh, dude, listen. So now, Kevin, but you know what? Kevin is 100% right. See, Buttigieg is coming up. He's coming up quiet, right? He's coming up slick, and understand now what is about to. This is what I believe is about to happen now. They failed. in terms of being able to slow down the momentum in Iowa and New Hampshire. So Bernie Sanders is going to win it. You have people all over, on all the major networks now saying Bernie's going to win them. So Bernie's going to win those two. I then believe that they're going to cancel Biden. Now listen to me very carefully. Here's the chessboard. Biden's going to be sacrificed now. They developed him as much as they could. He's no more used to Democratic Party, so he's going to be sacrificed. What they're going to do now, because you haven't heard them talk about ageism, right? When they bring Buttigieg up, right, that's going to be the issue. It's going to be about age. It's going to be about new ideas and age. And it's going to be about, well, Bernie Sanders has been here this long. And that's going to be the dividing factor, right?
But Eric, can I say this, Eric? With all of that said, both Biden and Buttigieg are going to survive until South Carolina. Okay?
No, I don't think so. But that's what I'm saying, Kev. I don't think so.
The establishment is not going to get rid of Biden before that time. That ain't going to happen.
Then you know what? Then they will lose. Then they will.
Listen, Eric. It doesn't. What I'm trying to say to you is, both of them are not going beyond that period, that point.
No.
So we got 12 weeks, 8 more weeks, 9 more weeks. Right. The establishment is not going to push Biden off the cliff. They're going to keep him around. They're going to hope and pray that he can show some strength in South Carolina. That's why everybody's in South Carolina, because they know they already lost Iowa and New Hampshire. So they're trying to spruce him up in South Carolina. Now, Buttigieg after South Carolina is done no matter what. Black people not voting for him. Regular people ain't voting. Anybody voting for Buttigieg. He's all confused. Biden, they got to keep around because he's establishment. They got to keep him somewhere until this thing gets a little closer.
Yeah. See, I'm disagreeing because what I'm looking at is this. If you keep both of them around and they're both vying for that black vote out of South Carolina, then what you're doing is just splitting it, right?
No. Let me take it back.
So if they don't have Buttigieg, if he's not going to be there, then Biden's going to falter. Then the establishment has who left?
No, the establishment has the richest guy in the world.
Bloomberg.
There you go.
And you still got Deval Patrick, who hasn't
Cancel. Cancel.
Tell Deval, go be an actor.
What is wrong with your pronunciation?
I'm not saying none of those bums' names right, because they're not right. I'm not giving them anything. Tell him to go back and work for what's the company he worked for, where Romney came from. Go back and work for it in the financial market. Let's move on. There's too many critical things happening out here for us to be entertained. Buttigieg is gone.
And now, wait a minute, you really think that?
And Bloomberg owns the party.
But you think that Bloomberg has a? But you really think Bloomberg has a chance?
No. See, it ain't about chance. He owns the party. He's spending $10 and $15 million on media buys. I'm trying to say you can't talk. Wait a minute, Diane. You can't talk about this revolution, Eric, unless you keep talking about and not understand that there's a group of oligarchs out there that are trillionaires that controls the Democratic Party.
I understand that.
So do you think Bloomberg is taking the position of what Clinton did back when she stole the nomination from Sanders? Then you think he's going to do the same thing?
No, I think. I think they're going to try. They're trying now. But I think it's different now. I think that given where we are in terms of ability to see the things that are going on in real time, right? We've created a challenge for them. So when we say that the corporation white supremacy is caught off guard, they want to do that, but they're having a problem doing it. See, they were able to get it off in 2016. But people are a little smarter now. People got ready for it.
I think your point is, I think you're right, Eric. You know what? Listen, this reminds me of the firing line. Remember we used to grow up when you saw the firing line, people going back and forth talking?
Right.
But let me just tell you this, though. I think you're right. I think that the problem with all of their science, their intellectual or institutional science when it comes to black folk, they're in trouble. They don't know what black folk are going to do. They really don't. And it started happening, you're right. You saw the big drop with Clinton, and you're going to see another drop moving forward if they don't get it right. But
so Kevin, I got a question for you. Does the presidential debates, Democratic presidential debates that they do broadcasts on TV, does that have anything to do with who may actually go to the convention to get voted in as a candidate?
I think all of these debates are a waste of time. I don't think not one debate
I disagree with you.
To tune in. See, we're all insiders.
Right, but
so we talk sometimes like insiders, but to the regular person, nobody.
No, but I'm gonna disagree with you, and I'm gonna give you statistics, right? So in the last debate, as a result of what happened, that I just spoke about, Bernie Sanders got 100,000 individual donations. See, so those are let me finish my point. So those are not insiders.
Diane, let me just say something.
So my point to you is this. So you asked me a question, Diane. You said do debates matter? So if you get a candidate, I don't care who they are. It happened to be Bernie Sanders. But if you get a candidate at the end of the debate who's able to touch 100,000 individuals, it mattered. And those are not insiders. Those are
it matters if it becomes a Democratic candidate, because again we have seen this.
But if we're having we had an earlier conversation about. But we had an earlier conversation about a more conscientious constituent, right? So we had a conversation
about the Democratic Party going with what the people want, or the Democratic Party wanting to be right and choosing their own candidate.
Right, but what I'm saying to you is this. You had 100,000 people stand up and say, we're going to continue to push back. That's all I'm saying to you.
It's illogical. Your position is illogical.
Why?
I'll tell you why you're illogical.
Why?
To me. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than anybody. I'm quite sure that he'll get 5 million more votes. It doesn't matter. If at the end of the day, that between Trump and Bernie Sanders, the oligarchs, the super rich, are going to make a decision who gets the Democratic nomination in the first place. They're going to make that decision. But at the end, it's not about popular vote. It's not about him getting more. Can he win that 270? Can he win that 230?
Right, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio. Got it. And to me, that becomes the question. See, I'm not prepared to take an attitude that says no matter how hard people work, they're never going to be able to topple this corrupt government.
Say that.
No, we didn't talk about
right.
We're talking about
this particular.
We're not talking about. I agree. We are 100% in supportive of everything you said. I'm saying there is a map that's going to decide who's going to be the president.
I agree with that.
Right now, from my understanding of the Democratic Party and what I've seen in my lifetime, they are going to implode. They are not a healthy group. That's why this crazy red-haired guy became the president in the first place, right? Because they didn't stand behind what the people wanted, which at that time, they wanted Bernie Sanders. He should have been the nominee, but the establishment chose Hillary Clinton, and she lost. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to do the same thing. They're not going to deviate. It's not listen, just like AOC said, I'm not giving you my money to go out here and prop up failed leadership in this country that don't share my values.
So do you think because there's been so many presidential debates that the Americans have started to tune out the candidates?
No. I don't think so. I don't think so, no. I think the dangerous thing that the Democrats did, as they always do, because I'm a Democrat now, okay, let's but they listen. They always do this. They are now engaged in this impeachment farce.
Oh.
That to me was the biggest mistake ever.
Well, they sent the impeachment articles over to Senate.
Kevin,
it's
wait
going
a minute.
to do nothing. It's going to bounce back, I think.
So here's the question I want to ask you regarding the impeachment thing, right? Because you got to always look at the chessboard, look at all of the pieces. Bernie Sanders sits on that committee as a senator in the trial, which means that as long as the impeachment goes on, the impeachment trial, Bernie Sanders is off the campaign trail.
Right. I don't think he's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
But I got to tell you something.
You don't think that matters?
Stupid idea. I think it was a stupid idea. They look stupid walking across the House to take the impeachment papers. They look ridiculous. They need to talk about what's going on in America. They need to talk about what's going on in these neighborhoods. And the Democratic Party that I'm a part of has propped up failed leadership in this country too long, and we need to have a revolution. I agree with that. But let's be honest about being insiders and how this thing is done.
So you don't believe that Donald Trump should have been impeached?
Because if it was done differently, Eric,
so you don't think he should have been impeached?
We wouldn't be having a conversation about the failed people.
Do you not believe that Donald Trump should have been impeached?
What?
Do you not believe that Donald Trump should have been impeached?
Oh, yeah, he should be impeached. And he should be removed. But is it going to happen?
No. But my question to you is this. Do you think that the Congress had a constitutional obligation?
Based on the time frame, they missed the opportunity. The election is in November.
No.
Blah, blah, blah.
No. I'm not talking politics. I'm asking you a very...
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Under these pertinent circumstances, I don't think he should have been impeached. No. They should have censored him, and move on. They're wasting our time. The Democrats aren't talking about any. Forget about the Republicans. They're not our friends anyway. At the national level, they want to put us all back on plantations. The Democrats are just as worse. I want to hear Bernie Sanders individually. He's doing great, but as you always say, Eric, the goddamn team's losing.
The team is losing. So Diane, the book.
Eric, I heard we changing the date for the book.
I did change it. I changed it in the Yeah, I changed it in the feed? Yeah, in the feed. It's February 6th.
That's great, Eric. That's great.
Right?
Great.
So I'm putting it up here, guys.
We're going to be reviewing the book. What's the book, Kevin?
The Will Papers. I'm living it right now. Jesus, Mary.
So at least he didn't invoke God. See, he listened to you, Courtney. He didn't say God. He said Jesus, Mary.
Hey, listen, but you know what, Eric? You know the thing I find interesting? See, we're all insiders. The majority of the people that are in this feed, they're insiders. But you gotta, when you take a step back and take a deep breath and meditate on this, it's just a hot mess. It's a hot mess, up and down the state, up and down the country. Even our political pundit class now, they actually believe what they say. They actually put fake polls out there every day. 1 week they would burn. Nobody's standing for anything. Nobody's standing for people. They're only selling their product to us.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, guys. This is all three-card Monty. This is a con game. And that's what this show is against. I'm not here to be talking about nonsense. Bernie Sanders has done a great job. I think he's done a great job. You know why he's done a great job? Because he produced and worked with AOC. He's producing young people. He's taking the risk. I get all of that. And I'm very excited about that.
So, Kevin, do you think he and Obama had the best ground game ever in a long time?
Who?
You know what?
Who was that? Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
This one makes me curse.
Now, Diane, see, Diane,
that's not what I'm talking about. Don't even use that ground game.
And I broke down what a ground game is, right? So a ground game is nothing but a bunch of slave catchers that have been unleashed on the community going round up. You understand? That's a ground game.
Again, I said, don't you think the two of them had the best ground game in a long time?
I'm not answering it. Just like your mere thing, I'm not answering it.
Well, what about the Powerball? What'd you do with your money? You going to answer that one?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Kev, my number is...
My name to Bubba. Hey, look, Eric, I'm going to disappear on the island and change my name to Bubba.
Well, you're going to be easily found because all we got to do is Google how many Bubbles can there be out there in the world.
I want to tease it.
Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please hit the share button. Please hit the share button.
Man.
Hit the share button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share to your people, your friends. Share to the enemies. They need to
and you know what? I'm Diane. I really like the fact that you got into the feed today. I like that. And listen, to be honest with you, I think all the questions you asked were very important. And guess what? If you want infotainment, you know, you got Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, you know, on TV. You know, there's a lot of places that you could go and dance with idiots, and I think that show is pretty good. I'm not going to really beat up on that, but there's a lot of space.
No, it's not. That View show.
I don't really watch it. I've never watched it in years, but I'm like, this is look. Even the political process, the conversation that we're having is a very serious conversation because it's a hot mess. Eric, you're right. It's a hot mess.
It is.
And we've got to stop conversating about it as if it's normal. It is abnormal what's happening.
12 o'clock, Kevin.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock. Hey, Diane, I'm going to eat my...
every day from 10 to 12 to talk to you. You don't get me off as fast as you want. Somebody tease.
I'm going to eat my delicata yellow squash.
Yummy, yummy. Is that from the mixtape?
It is. Hey, have you had delicata squash, Kevin? Have you had delicata squash?
I've had every kind of squash. I live with a chef. Are you kidding me?
Hey, man. Hey, listen. I never had it. I would always walk past it in the produce section.
But you got what? I don't know if that's real squash you're eating. It might be something else.
Shut up, Kevin. You know what? You are the epitome of the devil.
Eric.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Eric, I love you to death, but I don't know. Once you cook it, let me see how it's in the pot.
I put it on my plate.
It looks good.
It does look good, right? Listen, it's amazing. It is amazing. All right, guys. Thank you.
I got to tell you, I had an exciting day with you guys. I love you guys. I think it's a good conversation. And if you don't like it out there, stop listening.
Go die.
Don't come play else.
Absolutely. Oh, so Diane said go die.
I won't miss you.
Let me get back to work.
All right.
I love you.
Love you guys. Take care.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.